I should make it so you guys can see that my slides exist. Come on. There we go. It all makes more sense. All right. We're going to kick off in like 1 minute. We have a finite amount of space and what appears to be an infinite number of people. Therefore, regretfully, you cannot fit an infinite number of people into a finite amount of space. Therefore, we have had to operate on the very sort of sad basis of first come, first serve. So I am seeing no seats, and I am seeing a lot of people. Is this thing going automatically? Can it not? Oh my, okay. That's been running automatically this entire time. That's awesome. Can we not do that? Just do full screen mode then, which will hopefully not run an automatic slide. All right. All right. We're just hoping. We're just waiting another second. I do not see any seats. Are there seats up the back or seats in the middle anywhere? Liam, how's the stream looking? Can they hear me? Yes, I can go to the next slide. Can you see the next slide? It takes like a few seconds anyway, because that's how stream delay works, to ensure that I don't get doxed. All right. We're just having some technical difficulties in a computer science lecture. Say no. So I believe now the stream is looking good, and the lecture theatre is looking good, and I'm looking good. So sort of based on the rule of 3, it seems like it's about time to kick things off. All right. Well, welcome everyone to COMP1511, Programming Fundamentals. We're shutting the doors so that they can't escape, I believe is what, yep. Oh, the door's open again. So, in this course you will learn all about how to program. These are the fundamentals of programming, hence the name of the course, and you will learn all about the programming language C. But before we can get into the fun, the games, the if statements, the debugging, the compilation, the data structures, all of that good stuff, we must first do a whole lot of admin things, because this is possibly, give me, hands up if this is your first lecture. Hands up if this might actually look like everyone, but hands up if this is not your first lecture. It's like my 5th lecturing. All right, so there's a lot of admin stuff we need to go over, like what to do in a fire, what not to do in a fire, and that sort of covers everything. Those 2 circles are the entire knowledge domain of the world. But we'll do welcome and introduction, we'll talk about the course admins, we'll talk about how this course works, what the next 10 weeks of your life will look like in the context of this course. I can't know what the next 10 weeks of your life will look like outside of the context of this course. That's not really up to me. We'll talk about how to get help, the best ways to approach programming, because there are lots of bad ways to approach programming. I've been programming for too long, 12 years now, and I've done a lot of bad programming, which means I can now tell you how to not do the things that I've done. What is programming? I've said the word so many times, we'll learn what it actually is. What is Linux, working in Linux? Many people, actually this is a quick show of hands, who here has used Linux before? Who here has never heard of Linux before? So there's a big mix of people. I had not used Linux until I started university. And we'll also get a first look at C. A lot of you have probably encountered C before, because it's the 3rd letter of the alphabet, but this is in a different context. But before we get into all of that fun, we're going to have to talk about who am I? Now, there are 2 people on this screen. I am one of them. I am not Dr. Sasha Vasir. That is the person who is currently... That phone will ring repeatedly throughout the lecture, and it will make me mad every time. And we have told them to not, and we have also physically cut the phone cord before, and they've reconnected it. So, sorry about that. Anyway, of the 2 up, are you... If this happens a 3rd time, that's the rule of 3, and that's comedic timing. Okay. I feel like I've gotten sidetracked. I'm not Dr. Sasha Vasir. I'm not the lecturer in charge or the course convener. I do love dogs. I do love teaching. I have my... Oh, I've become disconnected. Why would that be? Oh, we're back. I do love dogs. I do love teaching. I have my PhD not only in computer science, but in computer science education, much like Sasha. So pedagogy and the pedagogy of programming. That's a 3rd.
I'll try and do it.
And I enjoy having a good yarn, predominantly sort of when I'm doing comedy and I have to just talk at you and I don't need to worry about what they say in response. Solving complex problems, not entirely my favorite thing, but I enjoy this course because I get a lot of street cred for solving not the most complex problems, but because you've not encountered programming before, you think that it gets worse from here, don't worry. No, there's a lot of fun to be had here. Me though, yep, I am a lecturer. I'm a new hire at CSE. I am a brand new lecturer. I gave like a few lectures last term, but you probably weren't in any of them. I do, in fact, moonlight as a stand-up comedian. By that, what Sasha means to say is has done professional stand-up comedy in New Zealand before, but she has decided to not put that on there. And you can heckle me if you want, but I feel like I'm pretty safe in a room full of computer science majors to not get heckled. I am the interrupter of the Queen Squad. I will be your lecturer for the first 2 weeks. So if you love having me as your lecturer, then you should know that I do teach other courses and you can have me lecture you again. And if you hate having me as your lecturer, sort of the same... Hello.
The slides are disconnected.
Is this for Video Ninja? Entire screen. Copy the clipboard. Are we back? Are we so back? Are we so back, Liam? Oh no. Yeah, I am sharing the entire screen. It comes from the part where it says you are sharing your... So when I go full screen, it doesn't work? What? That's really funny. All right. Come give me a hand, someone. I'm floundering here. I don't want to just share this window.
I'm just going to turn this off.
Yep.
I might just turn... Do you mind if everyone sees this?
No. Okay. All right, we're so back. So that's just Firefox, isn't it? I should be good. Are we so back? If I go to view and full screen, are we? So I'm just sharing Firefox. This is not ideal. Because I need to share. Sorry, what? All right, we'll share the presentation for now. All right, I'm sharing the presentation for now. How's that going? We'll swap between them as we go. We're good for now? All right. Thanks for holding with those technical difficulties. It's good to know that you guys are social, just scared of me. Anyway, I teach. That was sort of the point of that tangent. We also have our admin team, who I'm now going to get to introduce themselves if any of them are here. Are any of them here?
I'm here.
One of them's here.
I'm Grace.
All right. She's not Holly or Sophia. But together with Sasha, they make the Queen Squad for reasons that I've not really been brave enough to ask. We've also got the lecture mods. So are any of our lecture mods here? By definition, I hope so. Would you three like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Liam.
That's Liam.
I'm Isabella.
That's not Liam.
I'm Sophie.
Also not Liam. So they have fun facts about themselves, but I don't want to read them. I lost enough time. Now, believe it or not, it's not just 7 people that runs a course for like 1,000 and something students, possibly 1,100 at this point. There is an entire tutoring team. You will meet the relevant members of the tutoring team to you when you're in your tutorials, because as I know, all of you will be attending all of the lectures and all of the tutorials, and attendance will not drop off dramatically starting next week. So there is a lot of course information that you might want to read. For example, your assignments, because you possibly have those and you might want to know about them. How your grade is calculated, because that goes into knowing what grades you're going to get. And all of that stuff can be found on the course website. Notably, they do not use Moodle. A lot of courses use Moodle. Here in the CSE department, we often use this thing called WebCMS. It's like Moodle, but not terrible. And so that's why we use it instead. The cool thing about being in a computer science department is that if someone's website sucks, we just make our own. And that doesn't cause any headaches internally. Don't worry about it. Now, there are ways to communicate with the course. You may think that you're going to want to be emailing myself or Sasha because we are the lecturers. Don't email us. Don't do it. Do not. Because if you email me, I'm not lecturing after 2 weeks. So what am I going to do? And if you email Sasha, well, she's in America right now, what is she going to do? Your emails should go, all of the admin-related inquiries, to cs1511@unsw.edu.au. This is a shared mailbox. This means that it goes to every person who may have the answer to your question. You get to explore a breadth of possible people, and you'll get the response from the person best suited to help you. Instead of you emailing me, and then me emailing Sasha, and then Sasha emailing Grace, and then Grace emailing Liam, and then Liam going, why am I being emailed? You'll get the response that you need much quicker if you use this email here. Now, there are also enrollment issues. These are issues that, again, you may think I may be able to help you with. Every time a student comes to me with an enrollment question, I look at them blankly because I don't know. I have been working at this university for approximately 6 months. HR is a confusing place. Enrollment, I don't get it. I don't understand. It doesn't, so I would look at you like this until you stop talking to me. And then, so you should go to the Nexus Student Hub. That's where you should go for your enrollment inquiries, because I don't know them. ELP plans, equitable learning, and then the P stands for something, for vision, I think. Or it could stand for plan, but then it would be ELP plan. Anyway, make sure you have those in place if you need an ELP. One thing about learning, this is true for all courses, is that if you are confused about something and you don't know, you should ask questions. Because if you ask questions, I know, I did spend 3 years getting a PhD in computer science education to share this knowledge with you. So I'm hoping it is revolutionary. If you ask questions, people can answer them. And when that happens, you acquire new knowledge. And when you get that new knowledge, you can then learn newer and newer things. The other cool thing about the course forum, which is where if you have questions, you should post them, is that you're giving others the opportunity for this thing called peer instruction and peer learning, which is where you reinforce the things you've learned by teaching someone else. This is an extremely effective study strategy. Therefore, if you know the answer to something on the forum, you should answer it, because that reinforces the fact that you know it, and it reinforces it in your mind, and it makes it sit better as a concept. So yes, forum exists. Please utilize it. Please answer it. Sounds like a plan. Ask questions in tut/labs. The tutorials and labs are there to help you. So there's this big conception about formative assessment, which is homework and whatnot, that we give it to you just because we're mean. We don't. We do it because it's there to reinforce the concepts, and if you ask questions, you will learn better. Please do it. And we will be doing help sessions for people who need more help. Sort of a self-explanatory name. I don't think I need to get too much into it. The schedule will be announced shortly. Right, so it's time to get into what is this course that you've all signed up for. It is an introduction to programming, and it will be the beginning of the rest of your computer science life. You will do so much programming in your degree, because otherwise, why are you doing programming? Computer science, it's sort of the whole thing that we do here. Computers follow instructions precisely and how we give them. For an example of not a computer, Liam, can you give me a chocolate? Oh, okay. Well, okay. Not Liam. Now she's taking steps here. Yeah, let's throw it at me. Well done. So, notably, I said, Liam, can you give me some chocolate? And he said no. But then, to the rescue, what did you do to throw that chocolate at my head? Yeah, the one who threw the chocolate at my head.
Oh, wait,
What did you do?
I moved my arms.
No, before that. I said, can you get me a chocolate? What steps did you actually take?
Oh, I picked up the chocolate
Yep.
container, I opened it,
Yep.
and then I took one out, and then I threw it at you.
Did I tell you to do any of that? No. So she picked up the box of chocolates, she opened the box, she reached in, she selected a Moro, she threw it at me, and all that came from, Liam, could you give me a chocolate? If I said to a computer, could you give me a chocolate, it would be like, I'm a computer, what are you doing? You have to give a precise set of instructions to do exactly what you want the computer to do. We're not like humans. Humans can figure things out, they can interpret. Computers absolutely cannot. They follow the instructions that we give them, and they don't do anything else. There will be a point in your life where you go, why is the computer not doing what I asked? It's doing what you asked. You just asked it to do the wrong thing. Writing programs is providing the computer with that set of instructions, so we will be writing our code to tell the computer what to do, and it is all about problem solving. Computer science is not actually about writing code, it is about solving problems. Right, and we assume you don't know anything. Who here hasn't programmed before? Has anyone not programmed before? Show me your hand, yeah. Yeah. Who here has programmed before? Who here has programmed in C specifically before? And the hands are gone. So I know there were still some hands, but we're assuming you do not know anything about programming. We are assuming you do not know anything about C. We are assuming you do not know what a compiler is, and that is fine. This is ground zero. We will build you up. We're going to teach you the fundamentals of programming and the fundamentals of problem solving and how we talk to a computer in the C programming language. Right, so on Monday, we'll be live streaming. I'll be doing on Monday we are in person. I'll be doing my stand-up comedy to a dwindling number of students week in, week out. And we will also be streaming online via YouTube. So can we get some pogs in the chat? Are we getting any? Let me know in the interim if after I say, can we get some pogs in the chat, if we get pogs in the chat. Thank you. On Tuesday, we are only on YouTube, and as a 26-year-old who's terminally online, you can imagine what tomorrow's live stream is going to be like. And if you want to see it, you should tune in. And if you don't want to see that, you should tune in anyway, because that's kind of what you're paying money for. That's like, I get really confused by people who don't show up to these lectures. You've given the university money, and we're now giving you lectures in return. And then sometimes you go, actually, I don't want to go to those. We will be recording them. They will be found on YouTube. Week 6, Flex Week. You get sort of a break during Flex Week. There will be things for you to do, but they will not be going to lectures. Again, if you have questions, please ask it in the live chat, because we have our lecture mods who will be doing the live chat, and they will be answering questions. Have you guys answered any questions yet? Good, that's what I pay them for. Well, I don't pay them, someone does. If you are in person or online or just like existing in society. I don't know why this is here. Please be respectful at all times. Sort of just extends outside of 1511. Just like, be nice. I demand it. And week 1 and 2, that's me. We've been over that. So the lecture content will go over the theory of what we're trying to understand. I could just delve straight into programming, but we like to build a strong theoretical foundation of what we're looking at. There'll be some demonstrations of me programming. These will be live coding demonstrations. Because they are live demonstrations, this means they can go wrong, which also means they will go wrong. And when they go wrong, this is not a bad thing. This is a learning opportunity. And I'm going to keep telling myself that until I'm not embarrassed by my code failing to compile. But no, a big thing about programming that I say all the time is that you can only answer a programming question correctly once, and then you're done. You get way more out of it if you struggle and learn and remember and internalize and figure it out than you do from just flying through it. There's also the problem-solving element, so deciding how to approach problems. People have different approaches. We'll teach you our approach to solving problems. I like other stuff. That's just sort of the other stuff that I'll talk about. Occasionally it will be related to the course. Occasionally I'll talk about the television show Survivor. Desperately hoping to see anyone have a reaction to that, but sadly not. Lecture slides are available on the course website. That includes these ones. And the recordings will be on YouTube. And all of the code that we do will also be available on the website. So if you want to look at my code and admire it and go, wow, Henry, you're so good at coding, you can. You don't even have to watch the lectures. You can just download it yourself. Put it in your Henry code shrine, I assume. Tutorials exist. I kind of don't fully know how the tutorials work. I was never briefed on them. Do you know how the tutorials work?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about how they work briefly?
Sure.
Cool. I might invite you to come down and just sort of stand next to me so the stream can hear you.
Yes.
Professional.
Love that. Okay. Hello. So the perfect.
I will stand here.
I feel like you're my bodyguard or something. Okay, so the tutorials is basically a 1 hour class where you will go sort of back over the lecture content and, you know, go through like more like coding examples with it and all that sort of stuff. So you'll have a tutor with you who will be walking you through all of that. These will be followed by a 2 hour lab in a computer lab. And, oh, have I gone ahead?
Yes.
Oh wait, go back a slide. Sorry.
It's a good thing I have long arms.
Yeah, so tutorials, most of them will run face-to-face, some of them will be online. If yours is online, we can shuffle.
That's fine.
If it's online, you hopefully would have been added to a Microsoft Teams last night. If you weren't, there are join codes on the course timetable. So you just go join the team, and that is where both your tutorial and your lab will take place. So you'll just be joining it online like that. Yeah, please turn your cameras on if you can. It's a lot easier to talk to faces than a bunch of blank screens.
Or empty seats for lectures, just a reminder.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially for the first 2 weeks is Henry's priority. And then also, I love this. This is definitely Sasha writing this. We love seeing pets make an appearance. Sasha will love any photos of animals. So also on the course forum, introduce yourself. If you have a pet, post a photo of the pet. Sasha will love it. Oh, she'd like the pets to be in person too. Yeah. Yeah, so that's tutorials. And then labs are directly after tutorials. It is 2 hours where you'll be given a bunch of coding exercises and you'll get to work through it during that time with 2 tutors in the room there, which means that if you get stuck on anything, you're confused, you can ask questions at any time and they'll be there to help with any of that and can help guide you through how to answer your lab exercises. Yeah, this is a new thing this term. There will be one of those exercises that can only be completed in person or online if you're online, but during your class time. So it'll be very, very obvious once you're on the page, but there is one activity where you need to complete it and get it marked off by your tutor during that time. If you can't make your class time one week, you can go to a different one. You can still get checked off during that time, but you have to at least show up to a class during the week and get it marked off. Otherwise, the rest of your labs do not count for that week. So that activity you do in class is not for marks, but it's how you get your other lab marks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Yep, thank you very much. Give her a round of applause. Thank you. I was really hoping that would be enough time for me to reclip the mic. Just in case that last part wasn't clear, your labs count towards your grade. However, if you do not do the question that you have to do in person during your lab session, then your lab will not count and you will receive, is it 0? Nothing? All right, she's out. She was too stressed by that. If they don't do this question, they get a 0 for the lab, right? Yeah, for the week. There will also be assignments. These are large scale programming exercises, and when I mean large, they are large. You should do them early and you should begin them as soon as you get them. There will be help sessions for you when they happen, but if we just do a quick thinking exercise, if the assignment is due tomorrow and the help session is today, how busy do we think the help session is going to be? Who thinks very is the answer? Okay, if you think that, then that is correct. So instead of going to the help session the day before the assignment is due, having not done the assignment yet, you should do the assignment earlier, go to the help sessions earlier when they're less busy, and things will be a lot better for you and your mental health and your ability to sleep, and my ability to sleep at night. Well, Sasha's probably. Again, yes, help sessions. Great place to ask and get help and fill any gaps. They're in person, some of them are online. Yes, they will be busy, particularly around the assignment deadline. There will be a final exam. Hold your shock. The final exam will be in person. It will be 3 hours. That is very long. You will be given a series of programming problems in C. You will be expected to do them, and then you'll get marks based on whether or not you do. Specifically, you get marks based on whether or not you do them correctly, just in case anyone was confused about that. There will be some questions covering programming concepts, and there's also these things called hurdles. These mean that you have to answer these questions to pass the course. Normally the hurdles are about arrays or linked lists, but they might be about different things this term. I'm not in charge. So you could get 100% on the exam except for the hurdle questions, and you don't pass the course. So keep that in mind. The hurdles exist because there are future courses that are heavily dependent on certain knowledge in this course, so we do need to be able to prove that you have that competency. So in conclusion, labs 15%, assignment 1 20%, assignment 2 25%, final exam 40%. To pass, you need to get 50 out of 100, as well as doing the arrays and linked lists hurdles in the final exam. You can get special consideration. This is not my wheelhouse, but imagine you have an exam tomorrow and then you break your leg. You might not want to go to the exam tomorrow at that point. That's a good reason to use special consideration. There are lots of reasons to apply for special consideration. They're linked on the website. Please read it. You can apply now if you already know that you're going to have a broken leg, but I feel like there might be different reasons that you could apply now. Again, we talked about it. Please make sure your equitable learning plans, your equitable learning plans are in so we can support you in the best way possible. One thing that is emphasized time and time again, we cannot help you if you don't tell us what's going on. We can't accommodate things we don't know about. So if you have something that we can help you with, you should tell us, because then we can help you with it. And it becomes a lot easier to help you that way. There is a supplementary exam, so if you get special consideration, you can take the second exam. We have this thing called fit to sit, which means if you come to an exam and you sit the exam, you are saying, I am healthy enough to sit this exam. So if you are not healthy enough to sit the exam, you shouldn't sit the exam. The supplementary exam will be in May. There is a code of conduct. Anything connected to COMP1511 must be respectful, no discrimination, no inappropriate behavior, full respect for the privacy of others. Plagiarism is bad. Don't do it. Don't plagiarize. I know it's cliche, but you really are just cheating yourself if you plagiarize, because you may think that the goal of university is to get a degree, but that's actually just a byproduct. The goal of university is to learn things, and then the degree is sort of a proof that you have learned those things. So any kind of cheating will incur penalties. See the course outline to find out what those penalties will be. If you are working together on an individual assignment, that is considered plagiarism. Now there is sort of a bit of leeway there because there is a difference between collaboration and plagiarism. So if you say, oh, I don't know how to use a for loop, I'm going to quickly Google how to do a for loop in C, and then you do, and then you read it and you go, I now know how to do a for loop in C. That's not plagiarism. That's learning, and we encourage learning here. So don't collaborate on individual assignments. Make sure your submissions are not copied from other people. Don't use other people's code. Don't ask people to solve problems for you. But there are resources you should use to learn, and then write the code yourself. There are differences. At best, you might lose marks for your assignment if you are plagiarizing. At worst, you will be asked to leave UNSW. And they say at worst, and then they say and even worse, which sort of is contradictory, but whatever. There are consequences for plagiarism. You probably don't want to have to deal with them because consequences can be quite annoying. Right, it's time for my favorite topic as a computer science education researcher, AI. Who here has used AI in the last week? Anyone? Few people? Who here has used it in the last couple of days? I have. Who's used it in the last 24 hours? It's been 26 for me, so I'm safe. Who here used it before, to find out where the lecture theatre was or something? No. AI is a very powerful resource. AI is very good at programming. AI can solve most of your problems. However, have you considered that the goal, we don't give you these programming problems for fun. We're not interested in whether or not they can be solved. We know that they can be solved. We're interested in you using them as a resource to further your programming skills and to learn. I'm not going to look at your solution and go, I didn't know we could use a while loop. It's awesome. I'm going to go, okay, they've solved it. Good job. They've probably learned what a while loop is. All of that is defeated if you just copy and paste things from the internet or from AI and don't actually do the learning that goes along with solving the problems. The main reason to not use AI, aside from the fact that it's cringe, is that your exam will be invigilated. And also, you won't have AI during your exam. So if you come to your exam having learnt how to copy and paste questions into ChatGPT and then copy and paste output from ChatGPT into the exam question, you're going to struggle because you won't be able to use the strategy you've been using for the entire course to pass the exam. This means you will possibly fail the course and have to do it again. And then you'll hear me give the exact same speech next term. And no one wants to hear me talk for longer than they have to. So yes, your exam is invigilated. We want to develop your thinking, your problem solving, and programming takes effort. It is a hard thing to learn. It takes hours upon hours of repetition and study and repetition, jokes just for me, in order to understand what you're doing. Missing out on the why you're doing it for the reward at the end is a bad idea. We know that students are marks motivated. I know you just want to get your mark, but I promise you that is missing the point. I once had a student who had an exam worth 60%, and he was working the day before the exam on an assignment that was worth 5%. And I said to him, hey man, what if we focus on the 60% exam instead? And he said, but then I'll miss out on this 5%. And there's sort of a mismatch. Students can get very caught up in the idea of chasing every single mark possible, but if you step back and look at it big picture, what you really should be focusing on for most of this course is what you can do to maximize your chances of passing the final exam, because that is the best way to pass this course. Right, if you want more info, there is the course website, there is the course forum, there are recorded lectures, so you can watch me give the same speech again, and then you can watch me give the same speech again after I tell you can watch me give the same speech again. It gets quite recursive at that point. Ask your tutors during your labs and your help sessions. If you have serious issues, again, email CS1511. Do not email me. I don't do well with serious issues. There's also the CSE help desk. They help you at that desk. Again, some student support things for you to keep in mind. And Sasha's sort of got a bit of a soliloquy about how learning is challenging. And learning is challenging. This is like learning, it's called a programming language. And so you are learning a new language. You're learning how to communicate with the computer. And learning a language is very challenging. It's also been shown that as the language is more dissimilar to your native language, the language becomes more challenging to learn. Computers speak in a language very dissimilar to our own, so this will be a difficult skill, but it will be very worth it because it is a lot of fun and programming is a lot of fun. Right, the next part that we go into, that's all of the admin stuff out of the way. We're going to get into what is a computer, which for Sasha is the love of her life, which is interesting because she does have a husband and children, but that's, who am I to judge? I have neither of those things. It's the ultimate tool and its ability to be reconfigured for different purposes, to be reprogrammed. We can program the computer. And what is programming? It is giving the computer specific instructions to solve various problems. At the core of what we're going to be teaching for the rest of the lecture, we're going to be teaching about problem solving. This takes us to the second half of the lecture. You've all been sitting for 50 minutes. I know we're taking a break slightly earlier than we normally would, but it's a 2-hour lecture. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break, and we'll come back shortly to do some programming. Sound like a plan? All right, we'll reconvene in about 10 minutes. So I no longer have the hand mic on me because at any second I might switch to being a nerd. No, to Linux and writing some code. It'll be fun. This half of the lecture is going to have that thing where I talked about I might make mistakes in it. As an aside, you may recall that I got a Moro thrown at my head earlier in the lecture. That's not just for the thrill. It does serve a purpose. If you have questions or you respond to things that I say or you interrupt me to make a good point or you just say something that's funny enough, my lecture moderators may also throw chocolate at your head. Or they might not. It's sort of up to them to decide. But we do have chocolate to keep the energy high. People that are online, if you are sad that you are not getting chocolate right now, should have been here earlier. No. Trust me, these lectures will get emptier, but the amount of chocolate will continue to remain quite similar. So if you want a higher chance to get chocolate, you should be showing up to more lectures, because then you'll get more chocolate. It's a function. Anyway, programming. We are providing the computer specific instructions to solve various problems. And at the core of it, we are problem solving. We may go through, like I said before, you can only solve a problem once, but you can fail to solve it many times. And the failing to solve it is at the core of learning and at the core of programming. So don't be embarrassed by running your code and it not working, because I run my code and it doesn't work dozens of times a day. I run my code and it does work once a week. Not very often. We also have an operating system. So our code compiles and speaks to the operating system, which then tells the physical computer hardware what to do. It is the interface between the user and the computer hardware. Operating systems, they execute our programs, they make solving our problems easier, because if we had to physically manipulate computer hardware with electricity, that'd be cool, but I don't know if it would work very well. I don't think we'd have things like Google if that were the case. So an operating system sits between our code and the computer and does a bit of translation for us. Now we're going to be using Linux. The specific Linux that I'm using right now is this thing called Tiger VNC. I don't know why it's called Tiger. I don't know what VNC stands for. Does anyone know? Like, this is more a question for the lecture people. No one knows. All right, give him a chocolate for that one. No. What version of Linux is this running? Do you know? I heard someone say yes, which is a really good answer to that question. I too answer questions like that. But Linux is a Unix-based operating system. It's very lightweight. It's open source, which means people can edit it and make changes and whatnot and modify it for their own purpose. And does cause security issues sometimes, but that's a problem for another time. It's funny that it says more secure after I say that. We'll be working in this thing called the terminal. The terminal is a text-based interface that allows us to run simple text commands. So this is an example of my terminal. So I can run a bunch of commands in here, and it will do things for me. I will show you some of those commands shortly. Instead of going preview, I'm just going to scroll down a bit. So the terminal has the shell program, which could be bash, ZS8. There are many different types of shell programs, which in turn returns the output. Whoa, guys. I know I said the chocolate would bring the energy up, but let's simmer down a bit when I'm talking, please. Thank you. So we can use the terminal to write commands and launch other applications. So there's this line of text here called the prompt. I can write things in it. So I can write hello, and it will go, I don't know what you're writing, because that's not a command that I can write. But there are commands that I can write, for example, clear, and now I've gotten rid of my mistakes. I've cleared things away. Here are some examples of some things we can do. We can do ls, which will list all of our directories. One thing that I've noticed over the years is that people are becoming less and less familiar with the concept of a file system hierarchy, where things exist in folders, and folders can exist in folders, and files exist in those folders, and so you have this tree. It's a file system hierarchy. You'll need to become slightly familiar with it to work in this course. So for example, if I do ls, it will list, that's what ls is short for, all of my directories. So for example, I wrote a program called a.c at some point. I also wrote a program called enum_survivor.c, and we'll worry about that in lecture 4. That will become important later. The things that are highlighted in blue right now are the folders that I can go to. The things that are in green are executables. They are compiled C code right now. And the things that have .c on the end of them, those are just files. Those are my C files that I could open and start programming if I wanted to. I can also make a new directory. So what's a good name for a directory?
I use Arc, by the way.
That's going to be the name of my directory. Give him a chocolate. That's a good answer. Make directory. I use Arc, by the way. And now if I do ls, my directory is there. And I can go to it. I can cd into it. Does anyone know what cd is short for? I can't give chocolate to all of you. I'm so sorry. But I'm so glad we all resisted the urge to make a joke. So now I'm here, and I can list things, and there's nothing in my directory. But I might want to make something to go in my directory. For that, I can use the tuts command. This is a reference to the 2004 Nintendo DS ad with the slogan, "Tutsing is good." No, it's a reference to, I'm not entirely sure why it's called tuts. And now prog.c exists within my directory. And I can do cd ... which just says go up one level within your directory. And I can pwd, which stands for please working directory. No, it stands for print working directory. And it tells you where I am in the file system. So if I cd back into, I use Arc, by the way, and I print the working directory, it tells me where I am in relation to things. I will not actually be working in I use Arc, by the way, today. I will be working in public HTML, COMP151126, T1, and probably also in week 1. And this is where I'm working, and anything that I put in this folder will be available for you on the internet. These are linked, and so you can have a great time just exploring what I do. Let me clear all of that away. The terminal replaces the need to click things. If you like clicking things, you can probably get away with a lot of that in the course, but there will be some moments where you do need to type in the terminal. So it is important to familiarize yourself with some of these basic commands. I can do things like copy files from a source to a destination. I kind of don't want to do that right now because I don't want to get it around the wrong way and I haven't tested it, but I can move a file as well. I can remove a file. That one I will show off. Oh, wrong button. Oh, I need to CD. I'm not going to CD all the way out of here. I'm going to touch survivor.c, and it's there, and I'm so excited. And someone's going to go rm survivor.c. It's gone. What's even the point? I can't. Not entirely sure why this is here, but you can recursively do things to go through the directory and perform the command on all the files. If you ever see someone tell you to type rm-rf into your terminal, that recursively deletes your computer. And you don't want to do that. While you can do things like copy things from a file source to a destination, I am also going to quickly demonstrate there are other options. I may get a bit of flack for this, but you may have heard that you can right-click things, and you can go copy, and then you can right-click it, and you can go paste. It's another option. Just putting it out there. Sasha doesn't want you to know this. Oh, I'm going to go full screen mode now. Yes, we are running on Linux in the labs with all of the basic tools necessary to get started. You are going to want your own computer to be able to program on as well. Because if you can only do your programming work at UNSW, well, is this course worth 15 points? Is that how many? No, I mean does UNSW not do a point thing per course? Anyway, you're expected, if you're doing 3 courses this term, and a full workload is 40 hours a week, roughly we do expect you to do maybe 10 to 12 hours of 1511 per week. So you've got 4 hours of labs, 3 hours of tutorials. That's 7 hours sorted. But there is still 5 hours per week, actually it's a little bit more, of 1511 that we are expecting you to do. And I don't think people are going to come into UNSW just to do their 5 hours of 1511 work outside of class time and then go home. You're going to want to be able to do this in your own time. We have lots of ways for you to remotely set up. They can help you in the tutorial. Take your labs to your tutorials, they can help you get set up. Right, we'll need a development environment. We're going to use a minimal version of VS Code. I'm just going to use VS Code. You can run that in the lab. We will also need a compiler. Our one is called DCC, which stands for the C compiler. No, I don't know what the D stands for. Dynamic? Debugging. Debugging.
I think it's debugging C compiler.
The really cool C compiler? I'm not sure. The reason we're using DCC, you may be familiar with GCC, which stands for something, and Clang, which is a word. Those are other types of C compilers, but the reason DCC is so cool is that Sasha and Jake and a few other academics have been pouring lots of time into making a compiler for C that is actually helpful when you do things wrong. Most compilers for C aren't very helpful. Most programming error messages are esoteric. They are hard to understand and difficult to parse. Some would argue this is the point, and this is a learning opportunity for you to understand what the computer means when it spits out a weird error message, like what is a segmentation fault and how do you fix it. But with DCC, when you are just learning, you will get more helpful error messages that are more specific and more catered to your needs, and this is a good thing. What the compiler does is that it takes our C code and turns it into a program. So like I showed off before, I'm going to have to cd ... so far. I have some programs like prog or A, which are compiled versions of A.C, for example. Let's go back into public HTML. We need to have this conversation with the computer. We're going to choose to do it in the C programming language. We will be looking at C and learning how to write in C. C is a language that is very strict in its rules. There will be no ambiguity in what we're doing in C. We will be saying exactly what we're doing. The computer will do exactly what we're telling it to do. Many modern programming languages, such as Python, are built on top of C. And there's a great starting point for learning how to control the computer if you really want to understand what's going on beneath the surface. Nothing is hidden from you. You will be exposed to basically everything. So let's see some C. Thank you, Sasha. I'm going to write some code. I'm going to check my files. I'm going to go code intro.c. And this has opened Visual Studio Code for me. And this file is empty, because now I'm going to start doing my live coding. I know that I have things installed. I don't want them. So I'm going to go hash include studio.h. This is saying that I'm including the standard input-output library. std standard IO input-output. There are many elements of this thing called Turing completeness that you're going to learn about. Input and output are 2 of them. They are the 6 basic elements of what creates a program. You've now learned about input and output. You will also learn about selection, sequence, iteration, and storage. But for now, let's make a function called main. This is called main. This is where my program will enter when I compile it. it will call the main function. I'm saying int at the start because I'm saying what do I expect my program to return. And in this bracket, it says void because my program takes no arguments. Now, using my standard input-output, I'm going to printf, which is the command saying, put this thing on the terminal, show it to me. And I'm going to write, what's a nice message to write to people? A classic. Throw as far as you can. I didn't see it, but just give it a shot. Of course. I don't know who at. Somewhere over here. I wasn't looking, sadly. All right, everyone. Oh, God. Well, you can either decide to pass it a lot up. Anyway, I'm going to print hello world. There's this thing that you'll forget to do many times. It's called putting a semicolon at the end of your line. If you're coming from a programming language such as Python, you don't need to do that. Well, you didn't in Python. You do now, and you will forget, and you will feel silly in front of thousands of students. Well, I might be projecting at that point. And now I'm going to return 0, semicolon. So now I'm going to open a terminal. And I want to run my program. I want to compile my code. So I'm going to use DCC on intro.c. And I'm going to -o, which means I'm going to take intro.c. I'm going to make it output something else. And I'm going to call my new program that will be compiled intro. I'm not in the right directory. That's cool. So I'm going to look at my directory, cd, public HTML. No, we're so back. cd COMP1511 26T1, cd week 1. Going to clear that. Intro does exist. So a neat trick is that if you've written a command before, you can just press the up button and go through all of the commands that you've run recently. So I'm going to run that now. I didn't get any error messages, so that sounds like things have gone well. I'm now going to run my program by doing /intro. And it's there. There's my hello world. I expected thunderous applause, but silence will do, I suppose. It's so easy to get the validation that I crave. Notice that this has been on the same line. If you work in a programming language like Python, you might expect your print statements to put a new line for you automatically. But what I say about C, C does nothing for us. We need to tell C exactly what to do. I didn't tell it to print a new line, so it's not going to. So I need to print a new line. Does anyone know what the new line character is? I can't give all of you chocolate. I'm so sorry. \n. So let me compile it again. Well, actually, let me first show. Oh, let's clear that. Something's gone wrong. Let me first show that if I run /intro a second time, so I've saved my program. It has been saved. But if I run /intro, it's not going to do the new line because I haven't recompiled it. So even though my .c program is different, because I haven't recompiled it or rebuilt it, the computer thinks that it is the same. So I'll recompile it now. And now I will run it. And we've got our new line on the end. I suspect that what we're going to get through this is much the same of what I've just gone over. Well, there's actually a few things that I've not talked about, though, because Sasha put these things at the top of her program that we do expect you to put. They are these things called comments, because you may think that you're writing your code to talk to the computer, and that is true. But at a certain point in your life, later on, you will write some code, and then someone else will come along, and they will read your code. And they will not have the same mental model you did. They will not know why you decided to do things the way that you decided to. And so you can put these things called comments in your code. And if you comment your code, It means people can understand what the heck you were thinking. So let's write some comments real quick. Might actually zoom out slightly. If I write a comment here that says Henry's awesome code, because it is Henry's awesome code, and I recompile it, it ignores the comment. But if I got rid of the line, if I got rid of these slashes in front of it and just wrote Henry's awesome code here, who thinks that this will compile successfully? It won't. Oh, it has compiled successfully. Hang on a second. I didn't save it. Didn't save my file. A classic prank. Yeah, there's a whole lot of errors. Well, actually, there's only two. There are some errors and warnings that are saying what's going on here. And you can get AI-generated help by running the DCC help command if you want to. We do encourage the use of AI. We just encourage the use of it in a responsible manner that promotes your learning. Sorry, I hate to do this. I am going to ask to please stop talking while I'm talking, because I'm the one getting paid a bunch of money to be in front of the class for everyone to listen to. And if they have to listen to you, that's just sort of like not what they're paying for. So, comments. We want to include standard input output, as I talked about. So it takes the standard input output library. Almost every C program you write will have this, because every C program will have some form of input or output. There is a main function. The function is a block of instructions, and it can be repeated. They will run it line by line. Computers do things in order. That's that sequence that I was talking about. The computer will run the commands in the order that I tell it to. If I said, I'm trying to think of a good example. If I said to Grace, hey, could you stand up but first close your laptop? She'd be able to do that because she had closed her laptop first and then stand up. The computer would be like, I'm standing up. Now I'm closing my laptop. It does things in the order that you tell it to do. The first line has details that we'll cover in a later lecture, but the int says that it is expected to return an integer, and the void means that the function doesn't take any input. Curly braces will go in your program. They define blocks of code. So my code had some curly braces defining the main function. Everything inside those curly braces belong to the main function. Those curly braces match, because there is, for every opening curly brace, you must have a closing curly brace. You can't just have an opening curly brace without a buddy to go with it. Printf makes the text appear on the screen. It is a function of the standard input-output library, so if I didn't include the standard input-output library, I couldn't have outputted anything, and my program would be kind of useless. When we return, that is a C keyword that says that the function is done. So even though the purpose of our function was to display text on screen, when I say return, it's saying that's it, that's the end of my code. We're sorted now. Right, I demonstrated we can open it with the code command, code hey.c. We can compile it with DCC. And so that takes the file, outputs it to an executable program, and we can then execute the program with the // and then the name of our program to execute. You'll get lots of examples doing this in your lecture, in your tutorials, in your labs, and you'll see me do lots of different programs across these coming weeks. We now have a working program. So let's do, how many more slides do I don't have that many more slides, which is concerning. Is there any stuff that we think I've missed or I should show off more of? Does anyone have any questions while we're here? This is a good time to open the floor to questions. Yes?
How do I delete a directory?
How do you delete a directory? I think you can just RM it as well. rmdir, isn't it? Apologies, let's find out how we delete a directory. Let's find out together, because I don't remember. Where's my terminal gone? cd ... I hope you guys are talking about how to delete a directory. I'm in my root directory. Good point. So I could have just CD'd and go back to my root immediately, but hey, I'm going to show off how to remove a directory now. So it's rm-rf. So I'm going to go rm-rf, and I'm going to do it to rm-rf. Going to do it to iUseArch, by the way. And now it's gone. So using rm-rf is remove root folder, I believe. Remove folder. It's the remove folder flag of the remove command. But you can put some extra syntax on the end of it to do it to your entire system. Don't do that. Are there any other, someone throw a chocolate at this person for asking such a nice question. Catapult. It's always people over on this side. I'm so scared. Whoa. One thing to keep in mind, this won't be relevant for long, but I actually can't see out of this eye. So if you're like waving your hand over here, I'm sorry, I might not see it. Do we have any other questions? I actually just can't see in general. On the right? I genuinely, I'm so blind. Yes? Ooh, great question. So when I wrote my code, which is gone now, so when I wrote my program, I put a void in these brackets. And that void told my program, do not expect any input from this. And so now I've removed the void. And let's see what happens. Is it going to let me compile it? Actually, you know what? Quickly discuss with your neighbor whether you think this will let me compile it or not. 30-second discussion. And stop. And stop again. Right, who thinks it will? Who thinks it won't? Who's not sure? Who is sure but is scared to answer? Much to think about. It's not what I expected. It appears to let me. Yep, it's letting me. But person who is in charge of marking things, are you going to be happy if they don't include the void?
It's preferred to include it.
That's a very non-committal answer to a very committal question that I've wanted to ask. Is it in the style guide, for example? Oh, there's a style guide you should read at some point that will probably tell you the answer to this.
Exactly not.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to go back to them and then I'll come to you. Again, hello.
Do we only need to put the void on the main then, or do we need to put on any function that doesn't take any arguments?
Any function that doesn't take any arguments should have the void, but if DCC is not yelling at you, they're probably not going to do too much about it. A really good way to get marks retracted is by having DCC yell at you and going, yeah, it's fine. Right, there was a question here.
So if you put a value, for example, in the main, but then you don't give a value when you're actually running it, will it result in an error?
Okay, so we're getting a bit ahead of what we're going to go over today, but I will quickly answer it. So we've talked about the idea that my function can take a value. So I can pass in, I can say void, meaning it won't take a value. But I could say, actually, my function is going to take a number called age. And I keep pressing the save on a Mac, and I'm in a Linux, but it's fine. And I'm just going to quickly do something like age equals age plus 1. This is a bit of a preview for tomorrow where I do maths for 2 hours straight. Now, I'm going to compile my program. What have I done? Your declaration of... Oh, yes, OK. Actually, this gets into... This error message gets into a lot about giving arguments from the command line, because what I've done is I've said I can take in an age, and then it also asks where it's going to get that from, which is from the user entering input. This will be covered by Sasha in like week 5 or 6. This is a pretty advanced topic that you've managed to touch on here, so good stuff for thinking about it. But I don't want to answer it because I'm going to get really into the weeds if I do, and I'm going to scare a lot of people, including myself. So, in conclusion, your main will not be taking any input for a while. Right, I'm now going to put my head back up to see if there are any other questions around here. Oh, give him chocolate for questions, by the way. Good questions get good chocolate. Well, they get chocolate. I don't, it's sort of not up to me whether it's... Are you okay? We've really not thought this through. Have we considered walking the chocolate to the students? This is catastrophic. Or I'll bring a slingshot next week. All right. Did we have any other questions about C or about the course or about, like, Survivor? I'm good at that one. I'm so blind. There! Hello! Hi.
Sort of similar. Do all functions C have to be returning something, or can you have void functions where you don't have to?
You can, so... No, this is actually a great question. We'll get to functions probably in the next couple days, in week 4, in a few weeks. But so functions... Oh, phenomenal cat! Okay, no one else wanted to clap for that. Anyway, to answer your question, hey guys, let's calm down. We've had a really good question that I want to address. Let's please, I'm begging you. And pretty soon I won't start begging, I'll just start saying, get out of my class. I do have the power to do that, I'm just very nice right now. Can functions be void? Yes. Oftentimes, if we were to write a function like this, where its only job was to print something, we would make it void because there's no reason for it to be returning anything. So instead of saying int main void, I don't think you can actually do it with main, but you could go void function name, and it would not be expected to return anything. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. Were there any... I scan the audience as if I'm going to see. Yep, I see this one.
So whether or not you need to specify void, is that something that could be compiler dependent?
It's not compiler... actually, no, I understand what you mean now. Sorry, I misunderstood your question for a second. It could be, but I have my doubts that it is. Don't worry about it for this course. If you want to use a different compiler, don't. Cool. Any? We've got one over here. Hello.
How would I run like a debugger?
How would you run a debugger? Yeah, what Grace has said is that you are the debugger. DCC, maybe it's debugging C compiler.
Yeah.
So DCC gives a lot of debugging tools for you, but we aim for the problems to be simple enough and so that you won't hopefully have to think too hard about the state of things. Like, you'll have to think about it and understand what your program should be doing at each step, but you probably won't need a formal debugger. So you... hello, you first.
Are we allowed to use other IDEs like PyCharm?
Well, PyCharm is specifically for Python, so I would not recommend PyCharm. But you can use other compilers if you want. You could do it all in the terminal if you wanted, but we use VS Code here for sort of just ease of access. Yep. Also, you guys are really lax on the throwing chocolate at people. I mean, he's right behind you, so it's less scary. But there was chocolate here and here. And there was another one. Is that a question or is your chocolate? And then another chocolate here. And then I saw a question around here. Was there one?
There's one over there.
Oh gosh, there's hello.
Do we have to use DCC for all assignments? Can we use any other compilers?
Your code, they submit the .c files, right? Yeah. So your code will be compiled using DCC, so it makes sense to use DCC. But if you don't want to, we can't force you to. but it's what you will be using in the exam, and it's what you're expected to have learned on. So it's up to you whether you want to use something else just sort of for the meme, I assume. Or maybe you really like Clang. I really like Clang. Cool. Another good question.
I want to throw this one.
There's chocolate inbound. Maybe Grace should.
General vicinity.
Oh God. I'm so sorry.
It's not in my contract, Henry.
It's not in mine either. Question there.
It said we have to use VNC to connect to the remote computer, but I don't like that because it takes too much space. Are we allowed to use SSH?
Are they allowed to use SSH? Yep. Yes.
You can. There is a guide on setting up SSH on the course website.
Yeah. So
On the homepage, it's called setting up.
I was going to use SSH for this lab, for this lecture, I mean, but I decided to show what you'd likely be looking at. I am so very blind. I'm so good at this. Hello, that's you. Will we be going into things like memory management later in the course? Yes, that'll be in week 6. That'll be in week 6, 7, roughly. I can't believe I got booed for that. I've lost all goodwill with the course. Thankfully, I will be leaving. All right. I need to emphasize, when I say I can't see out of this eye, I mean this eye's not real. Like, I only have the one, and it's doing its best. Very far back. Hello.
Are we using C23 or another version?
There are different versions of C.
I actually don't know what version to use.
The one that's installed. Please ask tutors and post that one on the forum. Sasha will be able to answer that.
Yeah.
Very good question. Very worthy of chocolate flung.
At the second marker. Put your hand up, whoever just asked the question. Chocolate.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, there are a couple more slides for me to go over. I'll quickly go over those, and you can ruminate on if you have any more questions. And then I'll ask if you have any more questions, and then I'll answer them. Okay, here are some interesting facts / trivia. I'd like to make the caveat be that I did not decide whether or not these are interesting. This is up to Sasha, so it's not up to me to say, but some interesting ones. The first computer in the world weighed more than 27 tons, and it had a lot of square feet. Yep, that's a fun fact for you. Who here, hands up if you think this is fun? I think it's pretty fun. Interesting, maybe? It is a fact. Hands up if you think this is a fact. All right, cool. We got that far. Right, what we learned today. How COMP1511 is run. I'd like to note I currently got no questions about how the course is run, so I assume you all understand it perfectly and I'll be receiving 0 emails from you. Also, don't message me on Teams either. I've had students do that in the past. It's just sort of weirds me out a bit. Please don't. The resources, the course webpage, hopefully you are familiar with that now. If not, that's going to be quite challenging because everything's on there and you need it. We learned what programming is. It's the act of solving problems using code to tell computers what to do. We learned what an operating system is and what Linux is, to the effect that an operating system interfaces with the computer hardware using the code we tell it to, and Linux is the operating system we will use. We learned some basic Linux commands, and we learned how to write hello world with a \n on the end of it. We've got sort of 15... Again, please use the forum. Please reach out on the forum. And if you have admin questions, please email 1511. We've got about 10 minutes until the end of class. Are there any questions, comments, other things, heckles? Question up the back.
On the left side.
On the left side. Question there. Hello. So with the lab questions, how are they graded?
So So we'll give you some tests to run on it, and if you pass all of those, you're probably doing pretty well. Oh yeah.
I can't unclip. It's stuck to my brand new Sfeel shirt. This is really sad.
Ouch. Thank you. So basically, for the normal lab questions, it'll be done purely based off how many tests you pass. So we'll give you some. Oh, thank you. We'll give you some during the lab. Like we'll give you some of the tests. When we run marking in later weeks, we might have a few extra tests that we run, as well as ones that we give you. So that's for normal labs. For the check-off during labs, that's not marked like for actual marks. We just look at it, see that you've had a good attempt, you've understood what you've written, and then that will let you get your lab marks.
Are the normal questions like marked?
Yeah, so they'll be marked, and your mark is just however many tests you pass out of however many tests we run.
They get to run the test before they submit?
Yeah, you can run. We'll give you some tests to run before you submit. Yeah, so that counts. So each week, there's 8 weeks of labs that are marked. So week 1's not marked, and then there's no class in week 6. So weeks 2 to 5, and then 7 to 10 are each. You can get up to 2.5 marks in each week. Altogether, the lab component makes up 15% of the course. So there's different difficulty levels on the labs. There's 1 dot, 2 dot, and 3 dot. If you do the 1 dot and the 2 dot, which is sort of like the simple stuff, and then getting a little bit trickier, you'll be able to get full marks for the lab component. The 3 dot activities are for if you maybe have missed a 1 or 2 dot in an earlier week and you want to make up the marks, you can get half a bonus mark each week. Does that make sense? I feel like I've gone on a really big spiel.
It was important. Yeah. This does emphasize another thing that I talked about earlier, which is that if you're doing the labs and you lose half of your... So how many questions are in the labs, roughly? Give us a ballpoint.
Maybe 6.
So there are 6 questions in... 6 to 8, good choice of numbers. There are 6 questions, and each lab is worth about 2%. And so each question is worth about 1/3% of your final grade. So maybe don't panic too much if you lose 1/3 of your 1/3% of your final grade. You'll probably be okay. It is about the learning, not about the marks. But do throw him a chocolate, though. It was still a good question. I feel like I'm losing people. Are there... Is that a question? Yep. Oh. Hello. Sorry, I can't hear you. No, you can use this thing called Tiger VNC, which I've been using throughout the lab to run Linux remotely, or you can SSH. There are guides on how to do this without installing Linux. Installing Linux is not necessary. But it is recommended, not by anyone except me. I just think it's fun. It's not formally recommended. Is that the question or the chocolate?
Question.
Yep.
If I'm going to be away for a week in a lab, what do I do?
That is an admin question, I'm sorry to say. I do not know the answer.
Email the course account.
Email the course account with that one.
And I'll reply.
And she'll answer it. All right. You know what? I'm going to now spend the next 10 minutes standing here. But you guys can all go. Thank you very much for coming to the first lecture.